Welcome to the show, barrister and free speech campaigner Sarah Phillimore. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello.
Hi. Well, first of all, let me just... You have suffered under Britain's thought police. I have a bit as well. I can tell you about that later. But not as much as you. And as I understand it, you tweeted something about your cat being a Methodist. And you ended up getting a knock on the door from coppers who informed you that your feline tweet was under investigation for allegedly stirring up hatred against a group based on their religious beliefs. In other words, Methodists, and that comparing them to a cat was deeply offensive to them. You tell your story because it is scarcely believable, Sarah.
Well, luckily, I wasn't subjected to any visit. What happened was I was recorded in December 2019 for 12 pages of my tweets. I was recorded as a barrister posting hate. And if you want to see the tweets, you can go to the Faircop website where we've got a link to them all. One of the tweets, which was recorded by Wiltshire Police under the heading "Hatred Towards Transgender Individuals," was a picture of my dog and a caption that said, "My dog would call me a Nazi for cheese." Now, I don't understand what was going on there. So I got one of my friends on Twitter. I said, look, this is insane. Let's prove how stupid this is. Let me tweet something absurd and you report it. So I tweeted something like, "My cat likes Dreamies. I think he must be a Methodist." My friend reported it.
Sorry, your cat likes what?
Dreamies. All cat owners will know what Dreamies are.
Sorry, tell me, I'm a dog man. What's it?
Anyone who's got a cat will know they're these like little nuggets of dried food. But cats go crazy for them.
Okay.
So I was just trying to think of the most stupid thing I could do. And my friend reported it via True Vision, which is this app you can use to report hate crime. And they said, well, why do you think it's so hateful? And he said, well, she's saying that Methodists are wandering pests that defecate in people's gardens. Now, he was given a reference number. So, because the law as it was then was the police had absolutely no choice. If somebody reported a hate crime, they had to record it. It was called perception-based recording. That's what Harry Miller challenged in the Court of Appeal and won. So he got a reference number. And I tried then to get a subject access request. I contacted both South and North Yorkshire Police, and they both denied any knowledge of it. So I wonder whether they realised they were being played. So I've never actually been able to find that a force recorded that. But go back to Wiltshire, they recorded 12 pages of tweets, almost all of them as ridiculous as my pet dog one, and I had to crowdfund nearly £50,000 to get them to delete it. It took almost 2 years, and throughout that time they were saying this is vital operational intelligence to show Sarah Phillimore may escalate into genocide, because that's the whole rationale behind the non-crime hate incident.
Hang on. Because you tweeted something about, well, first of all, your dog and then your cat, that somehow or other you're a potential perpetrator of genocide.
This is the rationale behind non-crime hate incidents. It's something called the Allport scale. It starts with hurty words and it goes up a few steps and ends in genocide. So the police actually believe they are doing something good and that they are stopping people like me from murdering other people, because that's inevitably where I'm headed. You know, a few stupid tweets about my dog or my cat, and then goodness knows next stop
it is murder, isn't it? Obviously,
a murder rampage in Swindon town centre. It's obvious, isn't it?
Thinking about.
So that's the sort of justification, and that's what Harry Miller challenged successfully in the Court of Appeal, and that's why I just cannot believe I'm sitting here having this conversation with you, because after Harry Miller's victory in 2021. Finally, Wiltshire agreed to delete all those posts that they had under the heading "A Barrister Posting Hate" with my full name, my address, my phone number. They couldn't tell me who they might disclose that to, but obviously there's a worry. If you apply for a job, there's an enhanced DBS check, they'll disclose it. So I thought this battle was done and dusted, but it isn't, is it? And we've got Essex Police who actually think they've scored a point by saying, aha, we didn't go after Alison Pearson for a non-crime hate incident. Actually, it's a crime. But they don't seem to see that that makes their actions 100 times worse.
I'm so glad you're saying this, Sarah, because this is what I've been saying all along. You know, they know who Alison Pearson is. You know, also Julie Bindel, the prominent feminist, revealed she had a visit from cops on the same kind of hate crime basis. Now, what worries me about this is they know who these people are. They know that these people won't suffer this sinister oppression lightly, that they're going to go public with it. So the police are proud of this. The Chief Constable of Essex, a guy called Ben Julian Harrington, is clearly very proud of the fact that two of his cops, two Rozzers, knocked on Alison Pearson's door at 10:30 in the morning on Remembrance Sunday and said, "You're under investigation for a tweet that you posted a year ago." Could you tell me what the tweet is? We're not at liberty to say. I mean, this is ridiculous. Can you bear with us? Can you bear with us, Sarah? Because Emily Maitlis on her Newsagents podcast has responded to what's been going on here. So I'll just play this and perhaps you'll get your feelings about it.
It is about creating a narrative, which is that this country doesn't have a police force that you can believe and doesn't adhere to something that feels like the liberties that we used to have. And this will then be repeated. This will become a very ingrained narrative about A, the police force, even if it was the wrong police force that she called out, B, the way that Britain is perceived as being a place that, you know, is a police state and that tries to curtail free speech. And I think this then becomes the narrative. You know, it's a police state, or Boris Johnson's word, redolent of some of the worst actions of the Soviet Union.
1.7 million people in the Gulag probably have something to say about that, by the way.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there is such a thing as Godwin's law, isn't it? You know, you can't get very far in an argument without mentioning Hitler. And it seems to me that people are trying to make sure that this is one of those moments that you can't get very far into investigating any kind of story without saying, oh, we're now living in a police state. We're now living in a sort of fascist or communist or Soviet state where nobody's allowed to do anything. Next thing I know, they'll be telling me
someone did and got into trouble for. And you think, well, you know what? If you're inciting acts of murder...
Was that just a tweet? It was just a tweet.
It was just a little comment on Facebook or wherever it was. But sorry.
Well, Sarah, you get the gist is that Emily Maitlis, she fears that people will see what happened, indeed to you, but Alison Pearson, Julie Bindel, and they will conclude that this is a bit of a police state. That's what Elon Musk tweeted today. Britain is turning into a police state. Now, Emily thinks that's a really bad conclusion to reach. I think it's a natural conclusion to reach. We are descending into a police state, are we not?
That was a remarkably ill-informed exchange. How do these people think gulags came to be in the first place? Why do they consider that Article 10 freedom of speech is important? If we don't look after these freedoms, we will lose them. What Alison Pearson did, as I understand it, was something silly. She mistook the Pakistani flag for a Hamas flag and made an ill-advised comment that she then deleted a year ago. Now, it's all very well to sit and sneer that, oh, this is all being whipped up by the far right. What Alison Pearson did was not criminal. It was not a non-crime hate incident. The Essex police had absolutely no power or authority to go to her door. I mean, luckily, I didn't get anyone coming to my door. That would have been terrifying. And yes, they're, on one hand, very stupid to pick on somebody with a public figure, a public voice. But I wonder whether they're doing this just to show people who don't have the connections of Alison Pearson, we're coming for you as well. And you won't have friends in the media to stand up for you. You won't have the financial security to tell us to F off. That really made me angry watching that, because it just shows complete ignorance. We shouldn't be in this position, because Harry Miller put his house on the line and his emotional health and safety to win a Court of Appeal case that said what the police were doing by way of perception-based recording was unlawful, and they had to stop. So why we are now here, I don't know. And that ridiculous false equivalence of saying somebody inciting others to go and murder justifies the police coming and knocking on your door whenever they feel like it. Let's hope those people are very well informed about Gulag, because they're probably going to be seeing inside of one in the next decade. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't far-right frothing. This is about rights which are important and fundamental for a reason. And I wish you hadn't shown me that clip, because that's really...
Well, I thought it might annoy you, because it certainly annoyed me. But then again, it is Emily Maitlis, and she is wrong on virtually everything. But the fact that she does not, or those guys, those people on that podcast, the news agents, don't believe that police knocking on people's doors to warn them about what they're thinking, what they're saying, what they're tweeting. We learned last week that among the people investigated for a potential hate crime by the police was a 9-year-old kid who called another 9-year-old kid a nasty name in the playground. Now, if Emily Maitlis and her mates don't believe that that is something to worry about, then I worry about them. This has got to stop, hasn't it? I mean, I'm calling on Keir Starmer or Yvette Cooper or whoever is responsible to end non-crime hate incidents. The clue is in the name. If it's not a crime, what the hell are the police doing? They've got to end, haven't they, Sarah?
Well, the difficulty is I can kind of see the point of them if they're used properly. They do provide useful operational intelligence. The thugs who murdered Stephen Lawrence, there was a lot of intelligence about them. They were very racist, murderously so. It could have probably helped the police to have had an idea that that was going on, to have some sort of recording of it. I can see in certain circumstances, they have operational value. The problem is the police have now been told there's a parliamentary code of practice that says you have to use your common sense, you have to look at Article 10, you mustn't investigate things which are maliciously motivated or politically motivated. And sadly, there was a recent report commissioned by Suella Braverman before the last government lost power to inspect the police and see how well they were doing. Now, His Majesty's Inspectorate of the Constabulary reported in September, and it was horrifying. They found out that the police are still recording far too many non-crime hate incidents. Many of them don't understand their own oath of impartiality. None of them understand the Equality Act. And we need an urgent review of whatever kind of training the College of Police is giving them, because it's clearly not working. And it's all very well for people like Emily Maitlis to sort of sit there and scoff. She feels secure because it's people who say things she doesn't like who are being targeted.
Yeah. If you're right of centre, then you're going to be in the frame. That's the problem.
He hasn't stopped for a second to think, well, hang on a minute. If I give power to people just to go after other people for saying things they don't like, one day that shoe will be on the other foot and I will be targeted and I won't be able to claim the protection of law because there will be no law. Now, the fact that supposedly educated people can't see this is really chilling.
It really is. Just to give you the statistics, in the last year, police forces around the country have recorded 13,000 non-crime hate incidents. And since they were instigated way back in 2014 by that well-known Labour Prime Minister David Cameron, there have been more than 250,000, more than 250,000. That works out at around about 65 every single day. This from police forces that tell us we're so undermanned, we need more resources. Well, stop wasting your time with this sinister North Korean nonsense.
Do you know what the College of Policing barrister said to the Court of Appeal in Harry's case? He admitted there were so many non-crime hate incidents, it was impossible to analyse them. So, I said to you, well, in certain circumstances, I think they could be a good thing. They can only be a good thing if you can actually analyse the intelligence you've got. So there was an admission there that all this does is stoke fear in the hearts of ordinary people who say things that are not accepted by the political orthodoxy. That's all they're about.
Yeah.
They achieve nothing. They don't make anyone any safer. They just increase the fear of ordinary people.
And when you say about, you know, it's useful operationally for the police, I mean, I accept that, but I'm afraid compromises have to be made. And frankly, if the price of non-crime hate incidents or getting rid of them is that police don't get operational information, I think it's a price worth paying, because...
Yeah, I agree with you. They've shown they can't be trusted. Yeah. We've already had a Court of Appeal case, a parliamentary code of practice. We've now got politicians leaping back on the bandwagon. The police only too keen to do their bidding. They can't be trusted, so I agree with you. Yeah. Get rid of them. If it's not a crime, then the police do not come knocking at your door.
But
to say what Alison Pearson tweeted as a crime.
Absolutely, Sarah. Yeah, Harry Miller, your friend from Fair Cop, I heard him the other day putting it brilliantly. He said, look, you know, people like Alison Pearson or Harry himself, Julie Bindel, you know, these are tough people. You don't mess with them and they will stand up for themselves. He said the vast majority, nearly everyone who gets a knock on the door saying non-crime hate incident, be careful next time you'll be in the dock, they turn to jelly. They're terrified. They're terrified.
I initially thought the police must be more stupid than I thought if they're targeting Alison Pearson, because she's not going to shut up about it. But then I thought a little harder, and I thought, no, I suspect this is quite deliberate, isn't it?
Yes,
because
it is. Yeah, that's my point. That's my point. They're picking on people. They're proud of
this.
If
you don't have that power.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely right. I think this is quite deliberate, isn't it? They'll pick on some high-profile people who can stand up to them, but not everybody can.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It's quite deliberate, and I think it's quite wicked. So I think you're right. It's time to end this. It's causing fear, division. It's distracting the police. I mean, Essex police claim they investigate every crime that's reported. That's why they went round to Alison Pearson's house. Now, that is a flat-out lie, as anyone who's been burgled in Essex
absolutely, who had their bicycles stolen or their car stolen. Absolute lie, totally. Listen, Sarah, I've got to end this now, but great to talk to you, and we need to regroup about this on a regular basis, because this is wrong. This is a scourge. This is not Britain. Sarah Phillimore there, barrister there. What a story.